Gee, the lack of humility before nature that's being displayed here staggers me.
Well, thank you, Dr. Malcolm, but I think things are a little bit different than you and I had feared.
Yeah, I know. They're a lot worse.
Now, wait a second. Now, we haven't even seen the
No,
part where
don't let him talk. There's no reason. No, I want to hear every viewpoint. I really do.
Yeah, don't you see the danger, John, inherent in what you're doing here? Genetic power is the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun.
It's hardly appropriate to start hurling generalizations.
If I may, I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it. You know, you read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility for it. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well,
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
What's going on, people? You just joined the abomination. Appreciate y'all coming through, checking out the video. Now, the main driving force for this video, which I've been wanting, or it's been on my mind, but Wakanda Forever has, I think it drops today, or it's coming out for the regular people or some common folks soon. This movie has just kind of like solidified from the trailer, from reviews that I'm seeing. It's just been solidifying this idea that I've been having about specifically the use of minority characters, black characters. And it reminds me of, in Jurassic Park, Dr. Ian Malcolm's thought to the scientists of, like, we're so preoccupied with could, we never stop to think should. And it's like this representation, which seems like it's the end all be all, that's the trump card. As long as it got representation, then the movie is great or acceptable. People don't use the word mediocre when critiquing or referencing the current Marvel Phase 4, which is called the MCU by most, term created by Mr. Nerdrotic. Minority characters or female characters, gay characters, whatever, the way they've been handled or the defense of these characters always go back to representation. But we don't stop to think about respect for these groups that this character is supposed to represent. Now, one of the elephants in the room is Namor being in this movie, which I'm just gonna come out and say it, he should not be. It seems that Namor is being pushed in this movie as Mexican and was marketed in National Hispanic Heritage Month, just like Black Panther was pushed with Black History Month. So you pulled the black people in with a funeral for Chadwick Boseman for this movie, and then to like recreate that cultural phenomenon with the Mexicans, you make Namor, or with the Hispanic community, you make Namor some Mesoamerican character with all of this rich history and showing that. So it's like you're trying to kill two birds with one stone. Let's get the black and the brown folks in with this one movie. I just feel like, that's a company tactic, but at the same time, it's not honest representation. And Namor's just been added, but before him, or what I mean by the representation or the introduction to minority characters, specifically black ones, because that's who I've noticed it happen to in the beginning. But not just minorities, female characters as well. Black Widow stood on her own, but every other female character after that has been introduced with somebody else. But I'm talking about the black ones because, like I said, Wakanda Forever. And because it's a trend, it seems like, with them. You had War Machine, who was introduced in an Iron Man movie, who was recast for reasons. You had Black Panther, who was introduced in Civil War, and I don't consider him a major plot point, because the point of Civil War was two sides, two different groups of people going against one another. And you had the Sokovia Accords thing to where, some people wanted to be registered, others didn't. Black Panther's father, T'Chaka, dying, which is another issue that I have in relation to Wakanda Forever. But you had him to die, which gives reason as to why Black Panther was on one side, whereas in the comics it was because some heroes, some superpowered kids blew some shit up and people died. So I feel like you could have easily changed the reasoning for that movie, and Black Panther had no part in it whatsoever. Oh, and then you had Valkyrie, who was race swapped to be a black person, Tessa Thompson, in the movie. But it was also introduced in a Thor movie that was supposed to be a fucking Hulk movie. She was King Valkyrie. So we had to push the MCU hard with that one. But again, with the black characters, there's this sense of like leadership and taking on the leader, the head of the household role. But that was the beginnings of that. And after that, you have Riri Williams, who is being introduced in Wakanda Forever. Now she's being introduced in a black characters movie, but at the same time, you already have War Machine, who is a black Iron Man, and then you have his wife, who is also a female Iron Man. There's no need for this double tokenization or sloppy seconds, thirds, fourths with this character, especially if Shuri is already the smart one, you know, the tech genius over in Wakanda. There's no need for Riri Williams. Period. But also her original design was very feminine, and although she's a female token of Iron Man, her suit still had originality. It still had femininity, whereas in the movie she has this butchy look toward this, you know, more masculine. The suit is red as opposed to pink, lacks curves, and it has cornrows for some reason. Looks like a fucking inmate made this suit as opposed to a young intelligent girl, super genius. And then Falcon, you have Falcon, who was introduced in a Captain America movie. I didn't really watch those. And not only was he introduced in the Captain America movie, he didn't get his own movie. In fact, he got a show which was not his show. It was a show he shared called Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where they bitched about who was going to become the new Captain America, when in actuality Falcon should remain Falcon, one of the first mainstream black superheroes, his own character, as opposed to receiving the sloppy seconds of Cap, and that should have been passed on to Bucky. There's already a black guy called Patriot, who is a Captain America sidekick or hand-me-down taker, so that mantle or title or that shield should have been given to Bucky. But because Bucky was introduced or dubbed the White Wolf at the end, I think an end credit scene for the first Black Panther movie.
Playing around with that man again. No. You're teasing him again.
I'm not. Rest. I'm not. No, I'm not. Oh, you doing that?
But the White Wolf has rested long enough.
Where's the fight?
On its way.
Little time in Wakanda and you come out White Panther.
It's actually White Wolf.
That sets him up to be a completely different character, and I would have been down for that. It would have made sense. I would prefer to have seen, instead of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, to see an actual Wakanda series where you explore, instead of white man bad in the first movie and then black and brown got to stick together in the second one. Instead of these race relations that we're seeing from Black Panther, it would have made more sense to put that in the show. That way you can really explore it in detail, as well as exploring Wakanda. Because if you have this outsider, the White Wolf, the Winter Soldier there, then you can show the relationship between him and T'Challa being kind of built, because this is the guy that killed T'Challa, the Black Panther's father. So, you know, you see more of T'Challa, of his Black Panther, because he's a leader who has to deal with this outsider, a white outsider that killed his father, but we're accepting him. And as you show T'Challa accepting this character and being this this kind and merciful king or whatever, then you can have M'Baku, who was originally a villain in the comic. You could have set M'Baku up as the quote-unquote villain in this series because he has issues with the outsider, Winter Soldier, being there. And, you know, you show his questioning T'Challa, questioning, should I have saved you, you whack king, when you letting this dude in here? So you could have seen those race relations in that. but it would have made sense. And then you also would have been going forward with the idea that you already dropped in here with him being the White Wolf, because the White Wolf was a part of a like assassination, like military group, kind of like the Dora Milaje, but more so Anbu Black Ops, like the low key we stuff done in the dark type thing. So you could have, instead of using that whole group or making it an actual group that M'Baku was a part of, because he's a white ape, have him in Winter Soldier in those roles later on. I think it would have been too much because you already have the Dora Milaje though, like I said. So I think keep White Wolf, just keep him as that character, have him a fucking force of the Wakandans. He chilling with them because, you know, the rest of the world, he been assassinated. These have been the only people to take him in. And then have M'Baku, you don't want to call him White Ape because of fucking race reasons. Then you call him a Gray Ape and actually show him with armor or a suit with the gorilla, just like you have the Panther inspired by the Panther, and then you have a wolf suit inspired by the wolf. So we could have really seen more of what Wakandan technology had to offer when it comes to armor, especially, instead of what we get from the Rhino clan, where they just throwing their little little outfits over and it creates a shield. I'm not saying it couldn't be useful. That's like some last resort type shit. But what about the outside, the exoskeleton to be the first line of defense, especially coming from a tribe that fucking, let's say, works or have this affinity with rhinos? But yeah, that would be M'Baku's like villain arc, is showing how now, okay, he's back to not trusting T'Challa because of what's happening now with this outsider, and we see him grow from that and actually see a brotherhood form around these characters. So yeah, T'Chaka dies, and like 5 years later, you have T'Challa die, which in my opinion, you know, that just make black men look real weak. All right, I don't give a shit if a black man made this movie. I'm seeing too much black struggle in this, and it's not looking good for black men. Instead of having him die, you could have easily gotten away with the whole multiverse thing. Winston Duke has already said that with the multiverse aspect, you can see T'Challa come back possibly in the future. Trust the comic book overlords or whatever, whoever making this movie. I call bullshit. But if you are going to go with the multiverse excuse, you can have that happening right now. Black Panther could be, instead of dead, he could be traveling the multiverse and discovering things. A multiverse, maybe one of those being that quantum verse, where you could have showed that Shuri, being so fucking smart in Wakanda, she created that device or some portal to the multiverse, or how to move through it more easily, as opposed to Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, who are doing it with magic. You have the Wakandans who then figured out how to do it with science. And as T'Challa is going through, or know he's going to embark on this mission, then he tells Shuri, hey, I need you to hold it down. We don't even have to visit the whole herb thing yet, because she has a suit that can do a lot of shit for her. You know, a full body suit. So you just have her jump into it. Those suits were designed by her and are not fucking activated by the herb. So that doesn't even really have to be an issue. And that way you have somebody in the place of Black Panther while he's out doing connecting the whole other multiverse plot that y'all got going on, while Shuri handles stuff like here on this plane, in this current universe, or the main universe that you're in. And as Black Panther is away, which you didn't even need Chadwick Boseman's face for that. You could have just had the suit CGI doing these things, talking to Shuri and going off through the multiverse. And then that way he sees the Illuminati. All right. Unfortunately, they died already in Multiverse of Madness. But, you know, maybe he's discovered the true Illuminati. Other you know, Mr. Fantastic, he could be talking to Professor X, and that's how we introduce the fucking X-Men later on. Namor is a member of that group, so you know, this can show the relationship with Namor, as opposed to forcing Namor's story and history in this movie and dedicating more time to him and his own thing. But again, you can be forming the Illuminati with that plot, and then in the meantime you're discovering who's going to be the recast of T'Challa for this movie. You didn't have to kill this man in the movie because he died in real life. Escapism is not a thing, it seems, anymore. And the black men have to be reminded that your life is finite, you know, while these other white heroes live on for generations. We can have recast in the MCU, but when we can capitalize off of it and bring people here because a man died and make them feel things, then we're going to just throw it out there. Welcome to the funeral. Wear your white. It's a celebration. Oh shit. Now in the first movie you had this agent dude, I forgot his name, but hey, honestly, he was the white savior. All right. While you had the black people sitting here squabbling over their little issues, he was the one who kept all the weapons from going out to the rest of the world so black people could just rise up and revolt. So while the black people handled their issue down here with their little civilization, you had him actually taking on the world threat. And then you had Wakanda technology, like I said, saved Winter Soldier. He's the White Wolf now, so they have technology to save him and keep him alive, but it couldn't even save its own king. Supposedly he dies from a disease, but then it's like, well, shit, why was he the only person in Wakanda to get this disease? Is this disease in the rest of the world? Where did it come from? You're creating fucking new story, Disney's Marvel, that you don't even have to, and then it raises real questions, okay, that the average consumer,
Come on, quit eating! Let's get out of here!
most consumers, if not all, are not going to ask. So the company doesn't feel like it has to address these things. But you know, that's a L for Wakanda. Whereas comic Wakanda has been curing diseases for a long ass time. They do this. This is what they do. But you couldn't even do it here. Couldn't come up with technology to stop the disease from like flowing through his bloodstream or some shit. Like, you know, Iron Man did his whole heart thing and kept himself going. We couldn't pray to Bast, replenish the herbs and to heal this sickness in her chosen warrior, this person, this entity, this vessel for her mystical power. None of that can be thought about. None of that can apply here. He's just out of here. So the Black Panther has had an introduction in Civil War. He had his own movie where he fought another black dude over politics. And then in Wakanda Forever, the third supposed Black Panther movie, he ain't here. All right. Again, it's a funeral. Real disrespectful. I'm not with it. These Wakandans have these gods that bless them with power and a cosmos, a world that drop vibranium in their backyard. Like all of these advancements and advantages that Wakanda has, and somehow the struggle is still just white people problems. This struggle for identity and race and culture with Wakanda, as opposed to us just seeing the Black Panther take on the numerous villains that he has. Dr. Voodoo is a character that could have showed up here and, you know, has some actual involvement with the story. And then we explored the magic of Wakanda, you know, the mysticism of it. Whether we explore that in the movie, I think we should, you know, or it could be explained in the show. But I'm just not seeing that. Again, we got this tribe that worships the panther. You have a tribe that worships the ape. You have and then all of those other tribes. And again, you have the rhino people. Who are these people praying to? What other African gods do we have here that have some influence? Apparently none, because they couldn't save they warrior. And I think, going back to Ryan Coogler, I do think people give him too much credit because it seems like he's created something that you care about in phase 4. That's just what the director does. So, you know, regardless of him doing it, it's like nobody's asking like, okay, did you get the superhero-ness? Did you get the adventure part right? Did you connect this story in a way that makes sense? None of the shit makes sense. It ain't made sense in a long time. But again, just looking at this movie separate from everything that's happened so far with phase 4, does this movie stand on its own? Is it just good because everything else been trash, or because it's mostly black folks and brown folks? Again, representation. Is that what makes the movie good, or is it an actual good movie? Now, the exaggerated swagger of black people
The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time he does it, especially as the music begins to swell.
I understand what that means in people's head. Seeing the culture and all the Africanness in Black Panther 1, you know, like I was there. I was excited about the movie. Not as excited as others because I felt like in Civil War he wasn't Panther-like enough for me. Like I wanted to see more cat-like reflexes, pouncing around, clawing, more agility from this character. But I just saw a man with claws that gets beat up and pushes the energy back type shit. So, you know, he still wasn't the character, the Black Panther that I wanted to see, as well as T'Challa being more of a narcissist, like, you know, asserts himself above others, or just knows he's a different caliber of men from most, which is one of the reasons why the Illuminati always butt heads, because all their heads are like in their asses. But I didn't see that from Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa, and you know, so he wasn't the Black Panther that I wanted to see, and Black Panther the movie, you know, it just kind of further proved or solidified that opinion in my head. Sucking the herb from him type shit and having him lose fights to, you know, M'Baku seemingly, you know, he didn't really just handle that flawlessly, and then losing completely to Killmonger. It was just too much shit. I wasn't really feeling this character. And yeah, I do believe that they would have made him pass this mantle on to Shuri somehow. But yeah, Chadwick Boseman's death just kind of, it was a chess move for them. And unfortunately it's going to work because, like I said, more people are so blinded with the representation. You know, the director is a black dude. Most of the cast is black. But Kevin Feige, the white man, controlling this shit. Stan Lee, a white man, actually created this character. But I mean, all the love and props to him for creating it. But it's like it's taking on this identity that is not even that character. And that's being the shield of all criticisms, because simply this movie is black. And again, it represents so many black people, supposedly. Now it represents the Hispanic community in this movie, but it's totally disrespectful in execution, and it's not anything exclusive to the Black Panther movies, if you can call them that. It's something that's been happening in the MCU for a while. And people, these are just my thoughts. These are my opinions. Again, this is just my educated opinion, just based off of what I've been saying. Now, I'm sure Wakanda Forever will be entertaining. Okay, it's okay for people to like movies, you know, that most people don't agree with or whatever. Like, it's not about that. You can like shit. You can like garbage for your own reasons, but just understand that as you praise this movie, as you justify the bullshit with this movie, just understand the themes that you're supporting, the idea of minorities that you're fine with, that you love, that you attack myself and people like me. You know, as you tell us we're wrong for thinking these things or seeing these things in these movies, because they're doing the exact opposite. They're uplifting all of these people. With this movie, you know, I said people boycotted fucking Woman King, but here we are with this in Wakanda Forever, which you see on the posters. It's all women and one dude who don't do shit but bow down to the women in this movie. You're still supporting the idea of a black woman-led household when that's the issue in the community, you know, right now. You know, you're setting women up for failure by telling them they're just as good as me. They're just as good as men in everything, even combat, even, you know, defending themselves. Like, women can do that. Yes, they can. And a lot of women are capable, but there's still a training part of it that it's men heroes have to go through. Men have to be broken down in order to be like raised up. And that's not, I'm not saying that from, you know, the handling of these female characters. It seems like they're just being given everything to them. They're just being pushed up in positions that their characters have not been shown to be prepared for. Which for the Black community, you know, women, the fatherlessness is an issue. All right, it's an issue for all races, you know, for all people, like not having a father figure there. But specifically, I can talk about what I see from my communities. I had a father. I was blessed with a father. I appreciate that. But I see so many people in my community who didn't end up on a good path. You know, life didn't work out for them for not having that figure. And it's too much for the woman to have to take on. Women shouldn't have to be in leadership positions because their strengths are in other places, and they excel at that. So the idea shouldn't be placed on them that they should run it all. They should handle it all. And also, again, with this representation, so many people claim that they didn't have Black superheroes or Black figures growing up. So in the fight for representation, why would you take that away from young Black males? Why would you take away the strong Black male figure in the movies to put a woman in a position who is not prepared for it? Again, I understand the argument of representation, but is it honest? And these are my thoughts. I have not seen the movie. People, I'm watching reviews. All right, I'm not financially supporting the bastardization of these characters. I'm not financially supporting the tearing down of men, especially Black men. I'm not financially supporting, again, the bastardization of comic book lore, the characters and stories that have spurred fans and been made passionate fans, and was the driving force behind MCU phase 1 and phase 2. You know, this misuse of characters is not exclusive to Black, not exclusive to colored folk. All right, I checked out because of Spider-Man's handling, which was just downhill from his first movie. What was it, Homecoming? And what they've done to the Incredible Hulk, who is the forgettable Sulk. These characters have been torn down for a while now, and to see it happen to this Black character, but being championed by so many people, but being supported and pushed by so many people, it's just disgusting. But company's gonna company. All right, I'm tired. I don't care to be entertained anymore. Our properties are not in the hands of people that care about them, that respect them, that want to do them justice. They're just trying to push their agenda, their message. So yeah, fuck all of this. I don't have to see it to confirm that it's garbage, whatever Disney's Marvel is putting out these days. And hashtag we will win for people who know what that means. But that's all for this video, people. Go ahead and leave me a like or a dislike, you know, depending on the commentary, whatever, depending on how you're really feeling. But if those buttons are not enough, leave me a comment down below. Talk to me, how you feeling about this movie? Did you see it? What you think about it? Am I crazy? Am I looking into this too much, like I'm told a lot of the times? Or you know, how you feeling? Talk to me, leave it down there. I love the conversation. I go back and forth. I talk to my peoples. I appreciate y'all make the videos, y'all make the content, the community. You know, you make it worthwhile to know that my message or my thoughts reach, you know, some people, and they make people feel things, whether good or bad, make you look at things differently. That's all this is about. I see things and I just want to present them to y'all. And because of that, if you find any value in my opinion whatsoever, you want to hear more of my thoughts, I appreciate you. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel.
So I'm not sure I get you.
Give me a real fight.
Any of you guys read that chapter in The Art of War about misdirection?